Today in this video we're going to take a look at common non-electric means of lighting. In other words, we're going to be looking at kerosene lamps, a variety of different kerosene lamps here that you're likely going to encounter and that would have been used before World War II, and then increasingly as you go back before that for lighting in the home. And I'll start with the type of lamp that all the viewers here are going to be most commonly familiar with, because you can still buy these new, particularly at Walmart, hardware stores, and similar types of places. And it's the Flat-wick kerosene lamp or oil lamp. This example here is an older one made in the 1950s. Uses an Eagle #2 burner, which is the most common type of burner. It's been widely copied, and uses a 1-inch wide wick, and where the chimney attaches, uses a 3-inch diameter chimney. If you was to go to a Walmart or a hardware store, this is the type of lamp that they would sell replacement burners or parts for, like replacement chimneys, replacement wicks. It's the most common lamp, and the one that I think everybody is going to be familiar with. So we'll light it first. First thing to do is to raise the wick up a little bit, make sure it's high enough to light. And once we have a flame here, let's turn it back down a little bit. We'll put the chimney back on. That. And this is turned down pretty low. I think this camera is going to exaggerate how bright these lamps are lit. That's actually turned down fairly low. You can turn it up until it just starts to smoke, and then back it off, and that is your maximum brightness. And like most lamps, as it's been operated and heats up, you might have to back the flame down a little bit if it starts to smoke. It's best to monitor it, let it run a little low, and then after it's warmed up, you can turn it up to maximum brightness. But this is the common type of lamp. This one has the original chimney and the original pressed glass font with the shape there, the bell shape to the base, and then sort of a orb shape to the font where the oil is kept. If you've ever used one of these during like a power cut, for example, you know how dark they are. And it's unbelievable to most people that this is all they had. Well, that's not what all they had. This is just one type of lamp they would have had. This type of lamp would have been used primarily for general illumination. It's not real super bright for task work. For task work, there was another type of lamp called the center draught lamp. And these were actually more common than you think, but so many were discarded over the years compared to the Flat-wick lamps, because they are a little bit more complicated. In the center draught lamp, the wick, instead of being flat, is about 1.5 inch diameter tube. made up of 2 flat wicks. That have been sewn together to make a tube. As you can see there, I just raised this one up to put it in the lighting position. On most of these center draught lamps, they are designed to where you don't have to actually remove the chimney from the lamp to light it. You just, as I did here, you lift and then turn the part here that holds the glass, which is called the gallery, up. And then all that's necessary to do then is to raise the wick up a little bit to get it in the lighting position and then light it. See if I turn the wick up far enough. Maybe not. Nothing's pre-rehearsed here. Okay, I'll have to look at it and see. What's that? There we go, there it is. See, the flame is started. What we'll do is, if it doesn't go around to the other side, we'll rotate the lamp around like this. Then we'll light it on the other side. So that we have a flame going all the way around. And then once we do have a flame going all the way around, we'll lower the gallery back down into the running position. I think we've got a flame all the way around. Rotate this back, let it sit back down. So in the middle there is a what's called a flame spreader. And running up the center of the lamp all the way down to the bottom is what's known as a draught tube. It takes air in through these holes in the base here and up to feed the center of the lamp. These holes in the side of the burner feed the outer part of the wick. Now this type of lamp can be used for task lighting. It is quite a bit brighter. I would say when it's running at its maximum brightness, it'll put out the light of maybe a 30-watt bulb, maybe 35. So nothing impressive, but it's certainly very easy to read by one of these lamps. It's not difficult. The most irritating aspect of using one of these lamps is the color of the light. It's a very, very yellow color flame, which does tend to make reading a little bit more displeasurable than it would be reading with a modern incandescent lamp. But as far as brightness goes, it's not bad. I could imagine getting used to sewing or doing some other kind of work to it, reading, any kind of other task. And that's what this would have been used for. It would have not have been used for general illumination. It would have been used for task lighting like reading or sewing or other activities. The simple reason for that is these lamps do use quite a bit more fuel than the Flat-wick lamp does. There's a lot more wick to feed, and it's not a very efficient way of producing light. This round wick lantern here, center draught lantern, is one made by the Bradley and Hubbard company and sold under the Rayo name. Rayo was a trademark name owned by Standard Oil. Standard Oil sold kerosene, and then they also sold lamps to burn the kerosene. So, pretty clever marketing tie-in. Well, there's other better options for indoor lighting than the two lamps we've just lit. And those are the Aladdin brand of lamps. And they are a type of lamp that's known as a mantle lamp. They produce their light by heating a mantle till it glows, which is known as incandescence. And they are much more efficient in their use of kerosene than the center draught lamp is. They're actually designed to mix more air with the kerosene than the center draught lamp and the Flat-wick lamp are, and they burn with a blue flame. There's two very distinct types of Aladdin lamp. The one I'm looking at right here is the center draught variety. It has the holes in the base, just like the Bradley and Hubbard made Rayo lamp has that we just saw. And it has a burner very similar in layout to the one that we just saw. The first Aladdin lamps were Plume and Atwood center draught lamps that were designed to operate with a mantle. Plume and Atwood was one of Bradley and Hubbard's big competitors. Bradley and Hubbard being located in Meriden, Connecticut. Plume and Atwood being located in Waterbury, Connecticut. Plume and Atwood manufactured all of Aladdin's metal lamp parts from 1908 until the mid-50s, when the factory and tooling were destroyed by floodwaters from a hurricane. The other common Aladdin lamp type is the what's known as a side draft lamp. And this right here is a example of one. They can have metal fonts, but most frequently they're found with the glass font shown here. That was the big advantage to developing the side drop burner. In the side drop burner, there is no draft tube running the height of the lamp. Thus, the font could be made much more simply, and it could be made out of glass. So this is how you light an Aladdin lamp. First, take off the gallery and chimney assembly that contains also the mantle, and gently set it to the side. Take a look at the wick and make sure it's smooth and has the correct beveled edge. Raise it about 1/8 of an inch. And then light it. And the important thing is, when lighting it, is to touch the wick with the flame only. If you're using a match, do not let the match head touch the wick. Do not want to damage or deform the wick in any way. It's also a good idea to light it on both sides to help it quickly come up evenly all the way around. Once you have an even flame going all the way around, turn it down just slightly, and then pick up your gallery assembly. Place it back down on the burner and twist it. to lock it in place. If you didn't get the notches lined up like I did there, you'll have to rotate it around until it drops in place. Don't let it actually drop in place, but let it lower into place. Don't slam it. Now, it's bad for the burner to let it sit here and run like this. It'll overheat. So turn up the wick until the mantle starts to glow slightly. You can see the blue flame there. And leave the lamp in this position for a few moments so that it can warm up. If I come back here, you can already see the difference in the mode of operation of the Aladdin principle and the standard lamp principle. Go ahead and bring this up a little bit more. This camera exaggerates it greatly, but only the lower part of the mantle is actually glowing. Well, that's coming up. We'll go ahead and light the side draft Aladdin. It works in the exact same way. Wick has the same beveled profile. Raise it the same amount. Make sure the chimney is locked in place, but not too tight. I don't like to get them in there very tight at all, because it's very liable to crack one when they heat up. Great thing about these Aladdins is not only do they produce a very usable light, it's a very pleasing color. It's very comparable to the color you'd get from a 60-watt incandescent lamp. They also produce a lot of heat. In the winter, these are really great to use if you've got a power cut. The Aladdin manuals claim that they will produce 2800 BTU per hour of heat. Lamp on the left here, we should be able to turn it up a little bit. That is not full brightness. I'm only illuminating about half the mantle, the lower half. Looks very bright though. Turn this one back up to get a better comparison. Side draft lamp does not require so much time to heat up and can be turned up more quickly. Some interesting things about the Mantle lamps versus the Flat-wick and the conventional center draught lamps is the Flat-wick and the center draught lamps always let you know that you're using them. They smell and they're sooty. The chimneys will get dark as they're being used. They'll get sooty. The center draught lamp generally has an odor to it when it's in operation, and the chimney will also get darkened with use. The Aladdin lamps, on the other hand, they don't give off any odors at all, except when you're initially lighting them and when you go to blow them out. It's the only time that they tip you off that you're burning anything. They run at such a high temperature, and the combustion is so complete that they are odorless when they are running. And they give off, as I said, quite a fair amount of heat. You know, I've got both of these lamps running here at about 3/4 brightness, and they're both giving off a fair amount of heat. Like Aladdin says, 2800 BTU per hour. Lamp on the left is an Aladdin Model 12, and these were made from 1928 to 1935, though the burners were made for replacement purposes until the mid-50s when the Waterbury factory was destroyed. The glass font Aladdin is a Model B. These were made after 1933. And also were manufactured until the factory was destroyed in the 1950s. Interestingly enough, this Eagle burner was also made by Plume and Atwood, although this burner here is dated, or it's actually not dated, but the wick riser knob is marked, which allows me to date it. It is marked Plume and Atwood, Dorset Division, Thomaston, Connecticut, which dates it to after the mid-1955 hurricane flood. You may have noticed here in the foreground this smaller lamp. This is what's known as a night light lamp. And these were used for during the night hours when it was you would not want to have one of the larger lamps lit all night long. You wouldn't want to use that much kerosene, and plus there was no need for that much illumination if nobody was awake. These aren't much more than really a candle in lamp form. Uses a very tiny wick, about 1/4 of an inch diameter rope. Actually, I think it's 1/8 of an inch diameter. It's not wanting to light because I don't have the wick turned up high enough. So this is the perfect type of lamp that you would have had sitting on a dresser somewhere or out in the hallway, burning all night long, where it produced just enough flame that if you had to get up and move around in the night, you could see. Got to understand that back in these days when these type of lighting would have been used, got to imagine how absolutely pitch black it was then compared to now. Wouldn't have taken much light to see. turn the Aladdins back down. But that's a good rundown of common non-electric lighting. So if you see one of these, now you kind of have an idea of how they work and what they do. Thanks to the internet, you can get wicks for any of these lamps at very reasonable prices too. Takes a little bit of elbow grease sometimes to get one running that's been sitting idle for years. The kerosene dries up and turns into a sticky gum, and very often the old wicks will dry out and they'll stick to the brass. The brass it's been soaked in kerosene. The kerosene dries out and all the parts basically become glued together. It's very easy to remedy by immersing the parts in boiling water, and they'll come apart easily. Very important not to use force or anything, taking any of these apart or doing repairs to them. The font on this Aladdin lamp and the font on this Bradley & Hubbard made Rayo were quite dirty when I got them, and had a very non-mirror-like appearance to them. I used some Mother's mag wheel polish to polish them back up, and as you can see, it came out fairly nice. Nice reflections there. Same thing on the other lamp here. One final type before I end this video. Blow one of these out. Of course, turn it down, and you never blow down the chimney of an Aladdin. You blow across the top of the chimney to put one out. Center draught lamps and the Flat-wick lamp, it doesn't matter if you blow down the chimney or not. Reason why you would not blow down the chimney on the Aladdin is the cold air rushing down the chimney might destroy the mantle. We'll leave these two lit. Another type of lamp that you're likely to run into isn't technically a lamp, but it is the familiar barn lantern. And this is an example of an original. This is a Dietz. Very good quality lamp. It's known as a cold blast lamp because of the way it works. These tubes on the side aren't just to support the upper frame, they're air tubes. Where they attach here at the top, this is actually open up here, and air is drawn in through here into the tube and down, and then there's a two-layer cavity in this part here, and the air drawn into this tube is drawn into the burner and up, and then the air heated by the flame rises up. Also creates a bit of suction to draw air in through these holes here. A little bit of air might be drawn in through there, and then most of the air exits out here at the top. This is a feature that was patented in the mid-19th century, because it was discovered that rather than just having a flame protected by a simple enclosure to prevent the wind from getting at it, the cold blast would actually make the flame brighter than just a simple protected flame. A lamp enclosed like this in a lantern format with just a simple protected flame is essentially a oil lamp like this, and is called a dead flame lantern. But this lantern, because of the draft tubes on the sides, is called a cold blast lantern, and these are very common. You can still even buy these new at Walmart and other hardware stores and similar places. They're very easy to light. Raise the chimney, adjust the wick till it's about 1/8 of an inch above the top of the wick tube, and apply a light. Turn it down a little bit, and then gently lower the chimney. It's actually possible to, once everything is warmed up and working, it's possible with a same size wick to get a brighter flame from a cold blast lantern than it would be from an equivalent dead flame lamp. People that know much about these things have a saying that because of the way the lamps are designed, a dead flame lantern is a lamp by which you are seen, and they were often used for giving hand signals and things at night by railroad crews and fire and police crews. A cold blast lantern, on the other hand, is a lantern in which you can see by. They produce more light and are therefore more useful for tasks to be done at night. And of course, they're not as bright as the Aladdin Mantle lamp, but they also have the advantage that they do not have the fragile mantle there. Those mantle lamps, with their fragile mantle, are really not designed for portable use. They're designed for use as a table lamp, and Aladdin actually made these lamps with floor stands for use as floor lamps. They made hardware whereby they could be attached to the ceiling, and so they really were the light fixture of their day. The Dietz Cold Blast Lantern is really a very good quality lamp too. Very rugged, very dependable, widely copied. Probably one of the most copied designs of lamp ever made. So that's it. That's my rundown on artificial lighting. Hope you enjoyed it.